Oh, great. All right, so we've got a debunk and we've got a throwback tonight. Of course, Ben is author of Give Them an Argument, Logic for the Left. Ben, debunk first. What are we debunking?
All right, we are debunking some stuff that is from this book, Arguing with Socialists by Glenn Beck.
Arguing with Socialists. Who are the figures on the cover?
All right, we've got Bernie Sanders dressed like Fidel Castro, AOC, I think maybe in like a Chinese communist. I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to be, honestly.
That's cool.
Elizabeth Warren and, her Pocahontas headdress.
Okay, all right, props. That one's funny. I'll acknowledge that one.
Ilhan Omar, I guess she already looks foreign and different enough that
you know what? This is perfect because what they've done is they're like, okay, obviously we're just assholes and bigots, so Ilhan can just be herself, and that's it because we're just assholes. Like, she's a woman, she's from Somalia, she's got Muslim garb. Done. No need to add to that. Obviously, that's a problem. Then for Bernie and AOC, they need to just do these ludicrous characters. And then in a different way, like Warren just gave that to them. And it isn't even part, like, it has nothing to do with anything. Like, it's, I mean, if you interrogate it for a second, it's like, because I'm sure, Glenn Beck would not want to, like, he would say, like, oh, well, being in Castro gear or, PRC gear is bad. You would say, wait, so being Native American is bad? And, because he might be willing to say being a Muslim, he might be willing to just say, like, absolutely, that's bad. But I don't think he'd want to say being a Native American is bad, so it doesn't really make sense. But I just like how, like, Elizabeth Warren is just like, the character of me on the books is that I'm a Native American because I told an embarrassing, ludicrous story about that for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, wasn't that... who was the interviewer who was like, when she was running, was like, so you used to be a Republican, you used to think you were a Native American. It sounds like
Charlemagne.
Really
Charlemagne was like, you're confused, Elizabeth Warren. That was good. That was actually, that was very effective, Charlemagne. And she's like, I'm not confused. I just want to be president. Do you even know what Rome was, motherfucker? All right. Okay, so that's Glenn Beck's book. It looks brilliant. What are we debunking in it? And why the hell did you read this thing?
All right. Well, the original reason I read it is that I said I would, sort of in the same spirit as like eating terrible food, when you get up to 1,000 patrons or something. And I said that if I got up to 100 people on my Patreon, I would do the literary equivalent of eating a bowl of spiders and read this book. And I'm also co-writing a review of it with Nathan Robinson for Current Affairs. So there's a lot to say about it. But first, before we get into the meat of what's in the book, the specific part we want to look at, we should really just see this clip, if nothing else, because some people might be concerned that Glenn Beck had lost his edge a little bit. He was going through this kind of, there was this whole woke Beck period when he was going around to shows like Samantha Bee to talk about how he'd added too much to the divisiveness of the country. But he's back.
Then Trump won.
Yeah. Exactly. He
battled a little bit of a miscalculation there, homie.
Exactly.
Are we? Do you need this clip up?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Clip
sorry,
time.
I didn't get the cue.
It's all right, David. It's great. Take your time.
There we go.
It's fine.
They are brutal socialists that are willing to kill, willing to do whatever it takes because the ends justify the means.
I mean, this is what I keep describing as this is Thanos from the Avengers movies. What did he have to do? He had to wipe out half the people in the universe to create the utopia. And as he said, I'm the good guy because I was the only one brave enough to do it.
And can I ask you something, Dave? You live in Hollywood. Do these people even watch some of the stuff that they make? Especially when it comes to Marvel, I watch these things and I'm like, right? I mean, it's not just me.
Jesus.
So, of course, you might think, all right, well, that's what he's like, just shooting the shit with Dave Rubin about, obviously how, Bernie Sanders and AOC and people like this are like Thanos and would happily wipe out half the population of the universe.
Of course.
Pretty standard stuff. But, he does try to give a few, arguments a little bit better than that in here. So let's read out a little passage. It says, if your goal is to decentralize power by decentralizing wealth, then the last thing you should want to do is concentrate more wealth in the hands of the federal government, a relatively small group of people that controls much of the nation's land, wealth, natural resources, and laws. By the way, I'm just going to pause here and think about the structure of that sentence. So the government only controls much of the laws?
Right. I don't know, what other laws are we talking about?
Yeah.
What's cooking, Thanos?
Congress, which is supposed to serve as the people's representatives, is only composed of 535 people. So 535 people plus the president, 9 Supreme Court justices have control over most of the United States. Again, not all of it?
Yeah, I'm confused. He's kind of undermining his own point here.
Are there parts of the United States that are like autonomous zones that the federal government doesn't? Anyway, I'm confused by that. But a nation of more than 330 million and the most powerful country in the history of the world. Boy, that sounds an awful lot like an oligarchy to me. And socialists talk about the alleged danger of having much of the wealth in the United States controlled by a relatively small group of private Americans. But let's not forget that the federal government that owns the tanks, guns, and nuclear bombs, not Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. What's the worst Jeff Bezos could do to you anyway? Cancel your Amazon Prime subscription?
Oh, my God.
What is the worst that a guy who's about to be the world's first trillionaire, who has monopoly power in business interests that spanned everything from transport, logistics, drones, every single aspect of our consumer lives, future streaming entertainment across all platforms, as well as holding the servers of basically, every entertainment product, but also military and intelligence sources. What could this guy, with basically no regulatory oversight to the point of, not even being able to really sort of account for a lot of his taxes, what could Jeff Bezos do to us? Could he, like, as an example, do some type of like embarrassing neo-feudal national games to see where he'll headquarters, where he'll put an Amazon headquarters, and then as part of that, basically have municipalities across the country do an enormous amount of free labor and give him logistical, maps and layouts of how vast major strategic centers of the country actually work, even though we knew that he was always going to pick New York and DC.
Yeah, that is possible. He could do that.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was trying to just give you a short cue in there, but I kept thinking of things. What else could he do?
No, I feel that. And no, it's amazing, right? So especially because, and granted, he does, after that passage, admit this and sort of try to square the circle, not very successfully. But even Glenn Beck has himself talked about the fact that major tech platforms have an enormous amount of control over the information that we receive. I mean, he's talking about it in the context of, quasi-conspiratorial concerns about, the censorship of, conservatives, right? But he does talk about that. So that's another thing that Jeff Bezos could do to us, is exclude us, from platforms and thus like inhibit people's ability to hear what we have to say. Still another thing that Jeff Bezos could do to us, or, not some of us at least, the increasingly large number of people who work for Amazon, is that he could literally mutilate them. So according to the most recent information I could find, rate of serious injuries at Amazon fulfillment centers is about twice the average for the warehousing industry. So that's 9.6 serious injuries per 100 full-time workers in 2018, while the industry average was 4. A lot of those, because they have part of what Amazon has really pioneered, is this sort of quotas enforced by this omnipresent digital surveillance. So people are constantly squatting and lifting at this ridiculous rate, trying to meet these impossible quotas, because they know that there's the surveillance going on all the time, and they'll be penalized, if they don't make them. So one thing that Amazon does to a lot of its employees is literally put them through literally backbreaking labor. Another thing that it does is not take adequate protective measures, during a plague, right? Chris Smalls has been on here talking about that. But even aside from the specific evils of Amazon, of which there are many, right, that we talked about, and the damaging effect specifically of Amazon and the political process, what you were talking about, that like incredibly degrading and depressing race to the bottom between states to host their offices. Even aside from all that, just go back to his more general point. He says, well, look, the left says that they're concerned about concentrated economic power, and one of the reasons they're concerned about concentrated economic power is because it leads to concentrated political power. But he says, if you don't like concentrated wealth and power, then why do you want to put more of the economy, into government hands? Because isn't that a big concentration of wealth and power? And there's a pretty simple logical leap going on there, but it's worth breaking down for a second, which is just this, that at least if we could assume that anarchism isn't on the table, and last I checked, Glenn Beck is not an anarchist. At least given that assumption, it's a tautology that the government controls society. That's what a government is, right? That's the body that makes the laws and enforces the laws, that governs a society, right? That's going to happen regardless. The question is whether that government is controlled by the great mass of people, right? Whether political power is spread out as evenly as possible, or whether that government is to a very great extent controlled by people like Jeff Bezos. And that seems like it shouldn't be a hard distinction.
Seems like it shouldn't be a hard distinction, but this is the same people that gave you the Bernie and Castro fatigues cover art.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I just was remembering one of my favorite Glenn Beck, from the old days when he had his Fox News show. I was just trying to see if I could find the video. I'll have to look for a throwback later, but he has this great video where he's explaining socialism and why you don't want socialism. And to explain it, he has 5 different pies on a table. And they all represent different things, healthcare, housing, and all this stuff. And he's when he first does the things where you divvy up the pie, but you divvy it up so small that it becomes useless. But then the funny twist that he does is he starts combining the pies. Right. So it's now you have healthcare. And he puts it apple pie on top of lemon meringue, and then he mashes it up. And then he says and now you have education. He takes blueberry pie and he mashes it up. And, he does this for 5 minutes. And then he hands you this disgusting mashed up pie that he's do you want this? It's well, no, because you've just mashed together a bunch of baked goods. That's not an argument.
I thought the punchline of this story was when he came back from the commercial break, there was blueberry meringue coming down his chin.
Frick. All right. Well, debunked. Again, this is a good one though, because even though Glenn Beck is a goofball, this is an argument that you can hear, and see in much more supposedly prestigious outlets.
You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.